Hey everyone. Hi, this is Dan Nolan, the managing broker of EXIT Realty Solutions out of Indiana, serving both sides of that invisible Illinois and Indiana border. If you are a real estate broker and you've noticed that things are a little bit different just east of that Illinois Indiana border when it comes to prices, when it comes to traffic, when it comes to taxes, when it comes to tax caps, when it comes to balanced budgets. Your clients are probably looking at that saying, how come I can't have a piece of that? If you find a client who is not working out in Illinois, you can always refer them, but the best way to do it is to become an Indiana broker. It is not that hard. It is an application process, and we have ways of helping you around the national test called reciprocity. So if you're interested in becoming wider in your business, you can just give Dan a call. We're at 219-237-9797. I don't mind helping people grow their business. That's what I do. So, with that, let's move on to this week's news. There was a lot of it, and I'm going to go pretty quick on some of it, and I'm going to cover a lot in detail. So, hang in there. Here we go. Starting with the headlines. This is a worldwide problem we're having right now. The inflation situation that started back in '05 is now starting to we're going to have to pay the reaper on this one. Interest rates stayed low too long, and now we have inflation because of COVID and the Ukraine issue. Putin's invasion did actually disturb the market. You would think that that would be something that would be, like out there and it's being taken care of. It's not. We're renting a war and we're paying for it. And that is driving inflation up. It's one of the mitigating circumstances, but it is something that's affecting worldwide trade. So it's not just a local, this is a national problem, a world problem, and something that has to be attacked collectively. And I hope our leaders are able to do something along those lines because this is getting quite ridiculous. Um, but we did see inflation come down. Inflation came down mostly because consumers stopped spending. When the consumers stop spending, you got to wonder if they're out of money or if they're putting their extra money into a reserve account or a savings account. I have recommended probably since February of last year that you increase your reserve account. I have doubled mine, and I am absolutely grateful that I had foresight to do so because that's what keeps the business running. When you can't get capital to keep your business running, it has to come out of your reserve. Use your reserve wisely, but build it every time you see it. It's the only way through this, folks. It's the only way through it. But you can see that the inflation in the United States is down to 3.2. Japan actually came down to 3.2. And the Eurozone, which is Europe minus the BRICS nations, they came down 2.9%. So this is something that is peaking and valleying, just like home prices, just like car prices, just like food and energy. They rotate up and they rotate down. There was one thing that did stick out in my mind, and that's that the MLSs are starting to make changes in their platforms, and they are allowing a zero to go in for buyer's compensation. That's okay. Stay the course. We had a great opportunity to share how to take action with that. I had a nice meeting with our office, and I had a bunch of brokers over from Exit Realty. Esmeralda and her gang showed up for a brief recap on the paperwork that we should be aware of because of these changes. Now, we did start with the non-exclusive buyer agency agreement, the compensation agreement. That's something that we should be looking at a little bit more of. Uh, I went through some multiple offer things that we should be aware of, and how to get paid from brokerage to brokerage outside your own brokerage. Yes, that is a thing. But the main thing that we did cover that I am going to instill in our files is the Consumer Guide to Real Estate Agency. Illinois clients have this form that helps them understand what this relationship is all about. And that's one of the problems that we had, is that we weren't able to convey clearly the strength of why you use a buyer's agent. But we do have a new form from the Illinois Realtors Association, and thank you, Main Street, for providing this. But we do want to make sure that we cover what is going on when I am representing you as a buyer. Yes, I know construction. Yes, I know different electrical panels, being a fire inspector. I know how to look through a home for a safety point of view, which is what FHA does, and that's what the VA does. They make sure that your home is safe. I don't get my clients into positions they can't get out of because I didn't know they had a pushmatic box and that was not going to be acceptable to the lender. Use people who have been experienced in this business and people who are willing to learn to make it easier for you to own and buy a home. We trade for your gain. That's how it is. Yeah, that's it. So let's move on. There is one national program that's left in the COVID administration funds. There is a deadline to, well, if you get COVID between now and November 30th, we have a form for you to fill out. It is, believe it or not, they still have funding, but this looks like it has enough funding to meet its deadline of November 30th. You have a client who just got sick. This might be for them, but this is where your value comes in, knowing what options and solutions are in the market. Going back to the lawsuits, we do have 8 lawsuits against NAR. Some of them are um, in process, some of them are just starting, and this is the only one that had action on it during the week. This is a spinoff of the Sitzer Burnett verdict that we got 2 weeks ago. They were suing the sellers for buyer broker fees. They're upset about how the commission structure was redone back in 2006. And now they started to make lawsuits about this 10 years later, 11, 12 years later. It, it's something that we need to push through. But there are new companies that have been named in these suits. The new ones are Compass, Douglas Elliman, EXP, Howard Hanna, Redfin, United Real Estate Group, and White Hart Realtors. Uh, we're going to be taking a look at not just protecting the consumer around this, but the paperwork that's involved to be compliant with what is right and what is legal. So there might be a little extra paperwork, but that's what our personal training time is all about. Each one of my brokers has an hour assigned to them where they can call and just say, hey, this is what I got. This is what I do. Is this the right action? Is this the right form? Where do I find the form? There's a lot of things that I go through with brokers to make their lives easy. That's what your managing broker should be doing. Let's go to the numbers. Illinois. Am I done? No. Um, we're down almost 20% on homes sold over last year with an inventory down 10%. It's making for a rather lean market, even with all the buyers vacating and waiting for lower interest rates, it is taking a beating in the market overall. I mean, we're down 20% on closed sales here in September on the Indiana side. So this is something that needs more action. So if you are trying to stay busy in this market, and I know that this is a tough market to be busy in, go talk to another person. This weekend, I spent time at the VFWs, getting to know some of the problems that the local vets are having. I actually have two new phone numbers I'll be following up on today to try and restructure the things that are going wrong. Because while we have, the VA not foreclosing on the VA loans anymore, we have an opportunity to help them move their indebtedness on their due dates to the end of their loans for no interest, which is different than the forbearance agreements that were handed out to those who went through COVID, which moved their interest and their principal to the end of the loan. That's going to create a bubble at the end. And it's also, I don't know, it just feels, I guess the consumer granted that they can change interest into principal, uh, but that just seems like interest upon interest upon interest for another 20 years. Not a fan of that. So we're always looking for different solutions that make make things easier for you at the least amount of money and for the least amount of trouble too. Let's remember this is government projects that do take consistent follow up. Inflation coming down. Uh, we do want to get this thing down to 2%, according to Powell. I think Powell should just sit tight on what he's done. Some of the changes that he made in the Federal Reserve rates have not taken full effect yet. It is something that he did do. He did a pause, and that was the right call. But we do need to watch to make sure that inflation doesn't tick up because we're not paying attention. We haven't been paying attention to rates since 2005. And now that we are watching rates, it's a little too late. And that's what the Fed is known for, reaction instead of prevention. Rates. Speaking of rates, my buddy Todd Probasco over at Lakeside Bank helps me out on keeping up with rates. And yeah, rates have been dropping, not as fast as we would like. I know that there's some people with 3% mortgages who are looking for a 5% mortgage again just to get out of their landlocked home position. Because let's face it, you got a 3% mortgage, you ain't moving. I ain't moving. But what they're doing now is starting to invest into second homes because they have the cash. So watch the market changes. These are important for us to help our clients a little bit better than the next guy because knowledge is an important component to home buying. Now, like I was saying, I was at the VFW this weekend and I just kind of went back and my days with Honor Flight through Midway in Chicago really does stir up a lot of emotion about supporting them as much as they supported us, which is why we're one of the Homes for Heroes points of contact. If you know a hero, let's find a way to help them save some money on their home purchase. It is something that is part of the give back. Most of them never even got a thank you. This is our way of thanking them and letting them know that they're not forgotten. We got a couple of upcoming events. Oh, I got a good one. I got to show you. We have a great speaker that I'm going to introduce you to. We do have a couple of projects coming up this week. I want you guys to just stay busy and meet another 20, 25 people each day. But I'm going to do this right. Let me do this. I am going to introduce you to. our resource center, and I'm going to show you something that I have been using for quite a while. Oh, by the way, that's Tammy Beno, our co-chair. She's going to be spooking at the end of the month, and I got some information about that for you too. But if you would like to make it easy for your clients to find you, we got a great tool. I'm going to go up here to my name and I'm going to click on that, and it says my mobile business card, MBC. So let's click on that. Let's see what that looks like. And there she is. I have a mobile business card with a custom text code, Dan at exit. If you're an exit agent and you're not using our private proprietary text system, take a look at our mobile business card because I got a couple of people that like it this weekend who didn't exactly expect that. If you are an exit broker, get into your resource center and type in what you think that would be appropriate for you. Dan sells houses. Kurt sells Chicago. Whatever you want. If the code is not taken, it becomes yours. So if you see anything like this, text Dan at exit to 85377. I get it right on my phone, like within a millisecond. This is the technology that Exit provides when we are with our clients. It is important that we show our technology. And again, one of the things that we do best is just inform. But if you're out there looking for uh, people to help, let's start with these guys. The VA did stop charging their service providers the order to foreclose. They actually rescinded it. So if you are a veteran, it's a VA loan, and you are having situations with your service provider, tell them that you want to get involved with the VA services program. They're going to know it as VASP and help them move their payments to the end of the loan without a change to their interest. The interest is going to be forgiven. So this is a true forbearance program, and this is what we do. We want to be out there. We want to help people see what possibilities are out there and help change the world one by one. If this is something that you would like to see more of, this is what we train. We train for your game. And with that, I'm going to give you something that I found this morning. It's not these shoes, but I do like the shoes. Take a listen to this.
My name is Tammy. I'm the co-chair for EXIT Realty International. I'm responsible for building, and that ultimately boils down to building people, right? And I absolutely love the people I work with. She's amazing. I've worked with Tammy for next month, it'll be 25 years. 17 years. 15 years. 17 years. She just has this connection with people. She's very giving. I think women really look up to her. She cares. I grew up in Massachusetts. My dad would always say, your standard is the lowest level you're willing to accept. All of us learned work ethic from a really young age. It was, did you earn your keep today? So leading by example is incredibly important. I don't ask people to do things that I wouldn't do myself. One of the most incredible leaders I've ever met. You good? Me personally, I believe that leading from a position of love. It makes you feel like you're the most special person in the room. You just truly feel loved. You feel a part of something bigger. You can feel how much she cares when she's talking to you. Look at you taking the stairs. She has a servant heart. She has a leadership heart. She's got an authentic heart, and it's always about how she can serve. Your entire life is in your windshield. She commands an audience. People come from all over. public speaking gives you an opportunity to inspire people and get them to act. You know, people become what we tell them they can be. People feel the best about themselves when they do something they didn't know they could. She's very inspiring.
It feels like she rallies everyone with such power, but also with such compassion.
I love it. I hope they would say that I'm dedicated and consistent and that I have their best interest at heart. The number one thing I build is people.
We train for your game.